Greetings everyone, this is Matt here. I don't really have a script in front of me or anything. I don't have much of a plan for this one. As you can probably tell, I've not woken up too long ago before doing this, so I don't really have the energy for the usual Matt happenings today. So we're just gonna keep things light, and we are going to talk about Payday 3. It's been one of my most anticipated games for this year, and the reason I want to do this now is because we're 3 days away from its launch day now. I mean, goddamn. So, I wasn't able to get into the first technical beta, but they did a second technical beta, and I was able to get my grubby little mitts on it, so you know, I just wanted to discuss it. I'll have my footage in the background as we go about things, and I'll discuss what I liked about the game, what I don't like, and also a few updates regarding the game, as well as a few other things that might be relevant, but we'll see how things go. So, I just want to get things out of the way that this game looks and feels amazing, like, as an interaction thing. Like, everything feels a lot more lifelike than the robots that were Payday 2, basically. Like, everyone interacts with you if you bump into them. Like, one of the first proper interactions I have when I actually got the game to work properly is that I walk out into the street and I nearly get run over by this car. Like, I get hit by this car, I get bumped to the side, and the car honks its horn. I don't know if I had a driver, but either way, it beeps at me, it honks its horn, it nearly runs me over. It's like, that is far more than what Payday 2 used to have, because if that were Payday 2, I would probably just clip through that thing. So, yeah, it's a lot more lifelike in that regard. There's still no mouth movements from anyone, at least not from the guards, which is a little off-putting, but I suppose that was caught earlier on. So, oh yeah, I should probably mention, like, right away that I'm basing most of my opinions on the knowledge that I know, and from what I've gleaned from the technical beta, so for most of the points in this video, there's a good chance that I might be talking utter bollocks. There's no real way to know. But yeah, graphically and audio-wise, audially, I don't know if that's a word, use it. Graphically and audially, it's very nice. There is a lot more chatter as well from, like, the civilians and especially the police. Like, when there's assaults, you hear them talk a lot. It's like, hey, they've got bags, get them! Or get behind my shield, or some other crap like that. It's like, that's the sort of thing that I like. It's something that Payday 2 was kind of lacking, really. Not sure if the communication between heisters is there, although they do have this sort of communications wheel of sorts that gives you some stock phrases and just allows you to curse repeatedly if you if you want to. So yeah, that's one of the things it could do. What else do we have? I need to find my points chart to have a good idea of what I'm talking about. The gameplay is more or less solid. It's basically just twos, but more of a natural evolution, if that makes sense. It basically just uses what worked in Payday 2 and adds a few things to it. Like, for example, you have a phone which you can use to tap into security cameras, although that was kind of odd to use for most of it, considering it was mapped to different keys. It was really weird. There's new gadgets like the micro camera, the mine. It was difficult to try and deploy them. I guess you have to be at a certain distance away in order to actually deploy them, because there were a lot of times that I couldn't deploy them properly, and I was like, I swear I'm hitting the button to throw the thing. But, I guess there's just something we don't know yet. In terms of weapons, I kind of liked the variety that we got, or at least the small batch that we got from the technical beta. The Rheinfeld was good, even though reloading that thing took about 10 years. There was the battle rifle. That was pretty good. The Car 4 was okay, but I felt its ammo economy was pretty bad. Like I said, this is technical beta, so it might be possible that it's not going to be so bad on launch. Don't really know. The one thing I'm not 100% sold on in terms of weapons is the overkill weapon system. It's a solid idea, don't get me wrong. Like, you get involved enough, and it's like, hey, you've done a certain amount of kills. You can go get your super weapon. It's kind of like Call of Duty in that extent. But, you know, the grenade launcher, the piglet, the mamba, whatever it was called, it just felt kind of weird, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, sometimes it worked well, like I could get a multi-hit on a crowd of regular cops and it would take them down. It's like, cool, I don't mind that. But when it came to, like, specials and stuff, it felt completely impotent. Like, it just felt useless sometimes. And, you know, for something that was kind of effective in Payday 2, even though it had, like, a massively long reload, at least that had the power to back it up, you know? Whereas this one, it's like, okay, it's just sort of there. It's kind of a letdown for a supposedly high-power weapon that's limited in use. I mean, I did discuss the 3-gun system in my 15 Things in Payday 3 video, which I'm going to be referring to a lot from here on out, by the way, just as a heads up, so if you haven't seen that video, you might want to check it out, so that way you understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, the overkill weapon system, the piglet, mamba, whatever it is, not a huge fan of it. It just feels a bit underpowered, which is strange considering it's a grenade launcher. The only other one that we know about is the sniper with the thermal scope, which that seems like it could be more useful. But we haven't heard a thing about potential other overkill weapons, which is kind of weird. I mean, you'd think that there'd be some, but it's like, unless the Mamba is, like, heavily tweaked on launch to be better, I don't really see anyone using that over the thermal sniper, if that makes sense. In terms of other overkill weapons, like, I would love to see, I mean, I don't really know, to be honest. One of the ones I would like to see is the Vulcan minigun come back. Like, even if you just make it like the super shorty version with like the short barrel and only have it have like, I don't know, 500 rounds and no reserves. I feel like that would be useful. It'd be useful as like a decent crowd clearer if you want to make a push for somewhere. So, yeah, stuff like that. I obviously don't know what they plan to add in that department. We'll wait and see. But I think the biggest glow-up this game has got is in stealth. Holy moly, the stealth gameplay loop. If ever there was a massive glow-up, it would be in this department, because you're not just a glorified walking camera in stealth that was just, oh hey, I can't do anything even though I have hands. I should be able to use things. No, in 3, you're able to do a lot more than you could in 2. You can sprint, you can crouch, you can interact with certain things, and you can pick stuff up, kind of like the Chameleon Ace skill in Payday 2, I believe. That's become part of your base arsenal in stealth. Which, you know, I appreciate that. And so is marking guards, which is also Chameleon, I believe. I don't know if it's intentional that they don't have the marking through walls. Like, I don't know if that's intentional or not. It's kind of weird. But, you know, it is what it is. And probably the biggest part of stealth getting this massive glow up is that when you get caught in, like, a private area, not a secure area, by the way, just a private area, it's not an instant game over. It's not an instant restart condition. You don't have to mask up immediately. Because, say you get caught out in one of those areas, a guard will just be like, hey, you shouldn't be here. And they'll slowly walk you out back to a public area and it'll just be like, alright, don't do that again. And if they have a keycard on their person, you can use that opportunity to swipe the keycard off them. And they'll be none the wiser. I know I've done that in my stealth runs a few times. Even though stealth did take me a bit to get used to, and if I was in your lobby during that time and I bungled stealth for you, I apologize. But yeah, stealth is like, it feels a lot more rewarding now that you can actually do stuff. And I feel like it'll be appreciated a lot more. As far as loud goes, I mean, it's the same as usual, but you can trade hostages out to delay the initial assault, you can trade them out for resources if you're running low, that sort of thing. And also, you can take human shields, you can slide, which those weren't in the game, or at least those weren't in Payday 2 at least. And, you know, it feels a lot more fresh, it feels like you can do a lot more. In terms of the gun customization options, I actually like this system more than the originals, because it's closer to Payday the Heist more than Payday 2, where in order to level up your gun, in order to get the attachments you want, you have to use it, you know, warts and all, before you can get the stuff that you want. And, you know, I appreciate that kind of model because it encourages you to mix and match, to experiment, because I can't even begin to imagine how many guns in Payday 2 just went unused because they weren't meta enough or something. But this is like, yeah, you're encouraged to experiment, to mix and match, to try out new things. Should be alright. I'm not 100% a fan of the sliders because I'm not that convinced what they mean. I don't think that the sliders should be abolished, mind you. They are a decent indicator, but I feel like having numbers alongside them would be helpful. You know, just to get an idea of like, hey, is this thing super accurate or is it not accurate at all? Like, how much accuracy on a scale of 1 to 100 does this thing have? But, yeah, that's what it is. Oh yeah, I also want to touch upon all of the difficulties in the game because it's more akin to Payday the Heist than Payday 2, where it's not just a bloated mess of difficulties that don't mean much of anything. So you have normal, hard, very hard, and overkill in this game. And as far as the overkill difficulty goes, I can kind of appreciate it because it seems to give me the impression that they playtested Death Sentence 1 down in Payday 2 and basically took out everything that people didn't like, or at least most of the things that people didn't like. For example, they have the same health across all difficulties, so on overkill difficulty, you're not gonna get two-tapped by a sentinel in another zip code. No more of that, at least I don't think. I haven't ventured onto an overkill heist in this because I am a babby and I just wanted to get to grips with this game, you know, ahead of its release. So I mostly stuck to normal and hard difficulty, which suited me fine, especially with randos. There weren't really any problematic randos, to be honest. Like, I could probably count the problematic ones on one hand. Pretty much everyone seemed to know what they were doing and how to go about the business. There was this sense of unspoken camaraderie, you know? Although that might just be because it's Payday 2 players in the Payday game. So, you know, that might be a no shit comment, but, you know, it felt nice that having randos in the lobby is not just, hey, you're not using X armor or X weapon, kick. So, yeah, thankfully that seems to be gone, at least as far as this game goes. I don't know if that'll become more of a prevalent issue later. We'll have to see. I like how clean mask customization looks. Like, there are a lot of good options, and gun customization is also a lot cleaner because it's not as much of a hassle, really. The one thing I'm not a fan of with it, though, is the limited options that we've currently got, although this is based off the technical beta, so it's entirely possible that, you know, it's just going to be different. Skill trees. The skill trees look interesting, because while you have to have the base skill in a certain, like, line of skills, a certain row of skills, you don't have to go in sequence after that, if that makes sense. Like, you can just jump to another one, but you have to level up certain parts of the skill tree in order to do that. At least as far as I know. So it does require repeated use. Excuse me. Hiccups. In order to get the most out of it, in order to get all the way through the tree. So, I suppose that will become a problem, like, later if you really want a certain skill. But then again, leveling up hasn't really been that big an issue in this beta anyway, so... We'll see. We'll see. As far as enemy behavior goes, I also, like, really, really love how they're not just lemmings with guns. They're not lemmings with guns anymore. They are a lot more tactical. They don't overwhelm you as much, but they instead react to the environment, and they're a lot more clever. One of the most prominent examples is if there's a shield nearby. It's like, hey, get behind my shield. They'll all be gathered behind him as they advance forward, because the shield's obviously meant to protect the ones in the back. So, you know, that's handy. It's nice to see. Obviously, there's the music. The main composer for this is going to be Gustavo Coutinho, as he made most of the tracks for the tail end of Payday 2. And... And the No Rest for the Wicked track is probably going to live in my brain for a while. I will admit that much. Because goddamn, it's pretty catchy. It kind of reminds me of Heat Streets. So, looking forward to the soundtrack. I imagine it's going to slap, if Payday 2's soundtrack is any indication. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Of course, it's not all glowing, like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are a number of problems that are still, you know, on the table. One of the major complaints is that it's online only, like, there's no offline functionality, and that doesn't actually make any sense. From a business standpoint, it makes sense, like, you want to have as many people online as you can. But when you start adding logic to it, that's when the whole reasoning for it falls apart. If you catch my meaning. And it's particularly off-putting, considering that you can play on your own with just the AI. Like, that's something that can happen in a lobby. And, you know, it's like, why can't I just play offline if this is what can be done? I'll admit, like, in the time that I played, like, I played about 2 days of that technical beta, and during those times, I think I only got disconnected mid-match once, but that was more out of my internet playing ball than anything else. In terms of the always online thing, it just feels like it's going to be causing more problems than it will help. Like, people make the arguments like, oh, just get a better internet connection. It's as simple as that, hurdy-hurdy-hur. People who make that argument often forget that not everyone is created equal in that regard. Like, some people just don't have the decent internet. Some are just lucky to even get an internet connection at all. So by having it online only, it's like, that's gonna cause a lot of problems for people like that have those bad connection issues. I know if you've watched some of my Smash videos that has had internet-related issues, and that's never been fun. It's been inconvenient for my videos, and it's just... it's just not good. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like it's guaranteed to be a failed, you know, model. But you have to make sure it's composed pretty much perfectly if you want to go about this. Because the servers were strained to their limits in this technical beta. God forbid what will happen to them when, in 3 days' time, when the actual product releases, you know? So, yeah, that's a major gripe. Don't know if they'll ever plan on addressing that in the future, like as a post-launch thing. Hard to say. I also have issues with the performance of the game because I did turn the graphics down to about medium, and it still didn't really go above this, like, pseudo 30 FPS look. Like, I thought it was just me, like, not having my graphics done correctly, but I have been told that it wasn't just me. I think it can be attributed to the de novo that was added into the game. Although recently they did announce that it was going to be removed, so that is a very big positive. As far as performance goes, at least. Like, it's not going to run, or it's not going to chug your machine and just eat up all the resources. No, nothing like that anymore, at least I don't think. So, you know, it's a good thing that they at least addressed that issue before launch, because that could have gone down badly otherwise. I also had difficulty with the controls menu, because a lot of them had missing labels, and it's like, I don't know what half of these things do. I ended up just, like, assigning them to different random keys and just trying to streamline everything, because they were all mapped to a single key, and it was not ideal, especially when I didn't know what half of them did. So yeah, not ideal there, but presumably that'll be fixed on launch. And really the only major concern is the obvious impending microtransaction model that they're apparently going to include, because with this game already costing a lot already, at least as far as, you know, typical releases like this go, there's no real indication of what the microtransactions will be or what they're indicated to be. So, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty about it. A lot of people thought it was the C-Stacks thing, but no, that's just its own thing. No idea what that has in store. No idea what that's going to entail. Oh yeah, I want to include this little clip from one of my loud runs with people where it's like, I was fiddling about with the area where you get the zipline asset, and then I just vault over the wall unintentionally and just fall 3 stories and hit the pavement. Because that was, it was pretty funny, and I don't think I would have been allowed to not leave that in. So, yeah. Oh yeah, there were also a few, like, crashes and softlocks where I had to close the game from the task manager. Most of that was from the lobbies. Well, some of them were from the lobbies. Like, sometimes there were people with, like, level 320,000. It's like, you're definitely a cheater. And most of them, honestly, came from if you left the lobby at the end of a heist too quickly. Like, you have to wait for everyone else to disconnect, and then it safely brings you back to the menu. Because otherwise, I had to get to Task Manager and shut the game down that way, so that wasn't ideal, especially in terms of getting footage, but, you know, it is what it is. So, those are my thoughts on Payday 3, or at least as it is. Obviously, you know, this is a technical beta that I'm basing most of my opinions off of, so when the real deal comes around, chances are it's going to be a lot more polished, a lot more fleshed out, and we're going to have a lot more things to play around with. We'll see. We'll see. I suppose if you want to see Payday 3, then that's definitely a thing that will maybe tap into. I don't know. In terms of Payday 2 content, I'm not gonna be stopping that. Like, just because Payday 3 exists doesn't mean that I'm just gonna forget Payday 2 exists. No. That's not how things are gonna go. I still have plenty of things planned for that game. So, you know, look forward to that. So, those are my thoughts on Payday 3 so far. Hopefully the full release, you know, fixes a lot of the issues and makes things nice and pretty. And maybe we'll see more of Ice-T. Like, that gave me psionic whiplash, let me tell you. So, yeah, I'll keep my eyes on things and we'll see how things go. And in order to close this video out, I think I'll just include the full Monty of me and some other guy doing a stealth heist together of this bank heist, and I'll just let the gameplay speak for itself. So until next time, throw us a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you on whatever I do next. Take care now.
Or you can disable the lock. Find the circuit breaker connected to it.
Watch the guard. It's a guard. Camera.
You can't be in here. This area is restricted. All right, follow me.
Watch the guard. Guard over there.
I'll let you off with a warning. Don't wander off again.
It's a guard. Guard over there. There's someone there. Civilian.
system for the switch box is disabled. Next, go for the lock's power source. There's a safe deposit box in this bank belonging to an executive from the Wixia Corporation.
Nothing special, just
If you pass by an office, try to find out which box it is.
go. That's it. Kiss the ground, asswipe.
Husband will hear of this. Hey, let go!
Civilian!
Oh my god.
Yeah, it took quite a big problem.
Look out, a sieve.
Check this in.
This guard. Don't move.
Get the fuck down.
Down, now.
You can see which switch to flip from the monitor in the power room.
Watch the sieve. Spotted a goal.
Access denied.
Hold it. Get down.
Access denied. Access denied. Access denied. Access denied.
Get down.
A code's been sent to the manager's computer. Get it.
Let me go! I have an appointment!
Use that code to open the vault.
Civilian! Look out, a civ.
The money is rigged with die packs. Once the door opens, you only have a short amount of time before they go off. Quick, disarm the die packs and bag the money.
Guard.
There's the guard. Watch the guard.
There's a guard. Check the sieve.
Now, I don't want no damage to the van. Gentle with the
Get
heavy
down.
bag.
Don't move.
Over there. Watch the guard. Don't shoot! You okay over there? I missed my train. Now I'm getting robbed. Let me go! I have an appointment!
target amount, but let's try and get some more.